And to our top story of the hour, Israel has carried out an airstrike in southern Lebanon, killing at least 19 people, including children. The attack targeted a three-story building in the village of Sir El Gharbiyeh. Civil defence teams are working to clear rubble and retrieve bodies. Meanwhile, according to the Israeli Defence Forces, key commanders of Iran's Quds Force Lebanon Corps were operating from Beirut. These commanders planned attacks against Israel while also serving the IRGC in Iran. Israel says steps were taken to limit civilian casualties, highlighting the Iranian regime's systematic presence in civilian areas of Lebanon and Iran. Now joining us live we have Mohammed Osman, who is a Middle East expert in Cairo, Egypt. Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us today on the show. It's a pleasure to have you here. What can you tell us about these recent attacks on the south of Lebanon? Of course, the people in the region have to deal with multiple armed forces, Hezbollah, the Israeli Defense Force, and also the Lebanese army. But in this case, the Israeli Defense Force has said that there's also been presence of IRGC in the region. What can you tell us about this latest strike?
Thank you for having me, Ruby. Always a pleasure to be with you. Of course, Israel is resuming its aggression against Lebanon by taking advantage of what's going on in due to the regional turmoil caused by the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. Hezbollah unwisely decided to reignite the Lebanese front. However, the Lebanese front itself wasn't really calm for the past 15 months since the ceasefire went into effect in Lebanon between Israel and Hezbollah back in November 2024. Israel has persistently and incessantly violated the ceasefire by committing daily violations of the ceasefire, causing the death of hundreds of Lebanese, whether civilians or Hezbollah militants, or even members of the Lebanese military, which is supposedly neutral on the field of fire. Yet they were not spared during the so-called prolonged ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel from Israeli attacks. And of course, since last Monday, a couple of days after the war on Iran began, Hezbollah decided to jump into the fray and reignite the Lebanese front against Israel in order to assist Iran. And of course, we know that Hezbollah is merely a proxy organization of Iran, and it is guided by Iranian interests, unfortunately. This has brought a lot of suffering to Lebanon, as we can see. In just a few days, over 300 Lebanese were killed in Israeli attacks. Most of them are civilians. The latest of these is this attack that caused the death of about 20 civilians in southern Lebanon. Also, we have seen the targeting of certain areas inside Beirut proper, not even the southern suburb of Beirut, but in Beirut itself, in the city center yesterday, in the Ramada Hotel in the lofty Raushe region or district. And it was the Israelis, they justified that by saying that members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard were staying or residing in that Ramada hotel. However, of course, completely disregarding what the Israelis are claiming, it is actually true that IRGC members are in Lebanon to assist Hezbollah in their fight against Israel since a very long time, years ago. However, now it seems that those IRGC officers and personnel are flocking out of Lebanon out of fear of being targeted by the Israelis. Even Iran admitted that members of their so-called diplomatic personnel will be evacuated from Lebanon shortly. And of course, this is an indication that Iran, in a very subtle way, is admitting that it is withdrawing its IRGC personnel from Lebanon due to the fear of them being targeted. And of course, because Iran at the moment is completely overstretched by the all-out war and is being subjected to by both the United States and Israel. The situation in Lebanon is escalating very rapidly. Israel is taking advantage of the diversion of attention from Lebanon and the other parts of the Middle East to Iran in order to attempt to seize more territories in southern Lebanon. Since the last war, they controlled about 5 border outposts inside Lebanese territories. Now they have increased since the beginning of hostilities last Monday, or last week rather, about a week ago. They have increased their scope of control inside southern Lebanon to include 15 more points, and it is rumored that the Israelis want to establish a permanent buffer zone inside Lebanon that is from 5 to 8 kilometers deep. So we are witnessing right now maybe early incursions that are a prelude to a full-scale invasion of southern Lebanon, Ruby.
Mohammed, please stay with us as we move to our